Hello everybody. Today I'm posting a special video because 750 million passwords and usernames have been released into the wild through a massive online hack. And it's important that we all get our passwords managed and changed everywhere. So I'm going to show you exactly, literally, how to do that in the best, most efficient way possible that protects you going forward. Let's get started. All right, so what I'm going to do is first I'm going to just take you through some steps, and I don't generally recommend saying things like, trust me, just do this. But in this case, trust me, just do this. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to use a service called LastPass. And LastPass specifically is a password manager. But here's the cool thing. It works online. It works on your devices. So iPads, iPhones, Android, and it's free. But it also has a premium service. So for $24 a year, you can add additional features like additional form validation, inputs, storing credit card information, sharing stuff with family members, giving other people access to your accounts. But the important thing is it manages all your passwords, and you just have to create one really solid, strong password, and it will help you through all of your browsers and everything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take you through that experience to show you how it works. And then at the end, I might make the video a little longer to talk a little bit about why this stuff matters so that you understand that I'm not just blowing smoke here. But here's the thing. With 750 million usernames and passwords now hacked and out in the wild, and in database-based hacking, you cannot just create clever passwords for yourself anymore. You need something like a password manager. And so that's why I'm going to show you how to do this. So follow along with me. Here in the browser, I'm using a browser called Chrome. You might be using Safari, Firefox, whatever you're using. I really hope you're using Firefox. It's the last bastion of hope when it comes to independent, privacy-based browsing. It's not entirely true. There's other ones like DuckDuckGo that are also very good and very privacy oriented. But right now, Safari, the next version of Internet Explorer, Chrome, the native Android browser, a number of other Internet of Things browsers are all using sort of that Chrome code base. The bottom line is you need to protect your websites and all of your authentication against sort of single point hacks. And so even though having a LastPass manager is sort of a single point hack, meaning if they could hack LastPass, then they have access to all your stuff. I'm going to show you how to keep that from happening. And so right now, here's the important thing. We're going to use LastPass. Again, I'm going to use Chrome just because I don't normally use Chrome anymore, just because I don't want to use a browser that shares so much information and tracks so much information, and Firefox doesn't do that anymore. They probably never did as much as Chrome does, but I just appreciate the privacy. So here's the bottom line. Here in Chrome, the first thing you're going to do is go to lastpass.com. Again, if you want to skip ahead, and I'll put something in the description that says when I start explaining why it's important to use the password manager. But if you just want to learn how to do this and get on with it, here we go. So go to lastpass.com. That's www.lastpass.com. And we're going to hit get LastPass free. So again, this is free. It doesn't cost you a dime. So I created, just for the sake of helping you all out with this, I created something called fake mail at enginepost.com. And I'm going to create a master password. So you don't have to do that. You can use your Gmail account, whatever you want. But I created an account just to do this demo here today. So now you need a master password. This is the password you have to remember going forward. So if you remember, back in the day, people would say things like, never write your password down, right? But the trouble is we do that all the time. We now have like 50 million accounts we have to log into, and we have to write our password down somewhere. So we tend to write it down digitally, thinking that's more safe. Oh, we'll keep it with us. It's not on paper. The trouble is digital stuff is getting hacked all the time now, right? So it's actually probably, I don't know that I can verify this, but it's probably more safe to actually write it down and leave it in one place in your home on a piece of paper written in pen. than to put it on your mobile device at this point, right? Because people would have to physically get access to that. So that game is kind of flipped. So now we need a master password. Here's trick number 2. Do not use a password that is super meaningful to you. You need a passphrase and a passphrase. So I'm going to type out a passphrase here. Letters. So the first password might have just been all lowercase, right? Mother Goose. But then you decide, well, I'll make it more complicated because capitalization matters, right? Mother Goose. And then you're like, no, let's trade letters for numbers. M00TH3RG00S3. And then you decided, let's add a special character, Mother Goose, with an explanation. But maybe Mother Goose is meaningful to you. You know, again, that's still just sort of a basic password. So a passphrase is probably like 2 to 3 or more words put together. So that it might be more appropriate than to write something like, I ate Mother Goose, and trading the 4s for A's and 3s for E's. So it looks like, you know, a 4 kind of looks like an A and a 3 looks like an E. So I ate Mother Goose, and maybe it's not an exclamation point. Maybe it's like a pound sign followed by a dollar sign. To me, that's more of a passphrase. You need something that's complicated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here and I'm going to create a master password. Mine is going to be that for the sake of this test. So I'm going to say I underscore, actually what I'm gonna do is I'll just write it here again so you can see it. I underscore, I'm gonna use a 1 instead of an I. So I underscore ATE with numbers for letters 8 M0TH3R underscore G00S3 dollar sign. So that's gonna be my crazy passphrase, right? I'm gonna copy that for now and I'm gonna paste it into here. Paste, and see it says, that's a good strong password. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for that super strong password. And now it says at least 1 uppercase letter. I don't have a single uppercase letter. So let's change that. I'm going to change the word mother to a capital M. There. So now we meet almost all the criteria, right? If we paste it over it again, so delete this, paste again. Okay, now we're checking all the boxes for like a really strong password, right? And then it says confirm that master password. So I'm going to paste something there. And it's the same password. Whoops, pasted it twice. Let's try that one more time. Okay, so now I have a copy of that master password. Now it says a reminder. What could be my reminder? So Mother Goose is like a fairy tale kind of story, right? So I'm going to write like fairy tales are tasty. Something like that, right? I ate Mother Goose. So that's going to be my reminder. Either way, I'm going to write that down physically on a piece of paper and keep it somewhere hidden in my home so I can always get back into this account. Sign up, it's free. There we go. It says the email is already in use. That's not true. So now I am now logged in. I'm not going to save this password. And it says install LastPass. So now I want to hit that. So it takes me and knows I'm in Chrome. It says you can add the LastPass free password manager to Chrome. This is what I want to do. Now that I have an account set up, I need a plugin to work in my browsers. You can also download this from like the Android Play Store, the iPhone Store, as well as native apps on mobile devices like iPhones and iPads and Android phones, right? But I'm going to start with a web here. So now I'm hitting add to Chrome. I'm going to add the extension. And now it's added it up here. Now notice that it's gray. That's important to note. Hopefully you can see that on my screen. But it's a little gray icon up there. I'm going to actually nudge the screen down just a little bit because it looks like I'm not quite getting my whole screen here. Just going to pull that down like that. And I'm going to do the same with the other browser window. Pull that down a little bit so we're just sure we're seeing everything we need to see. Sorry if I cut any of that off earlier. Bring it over like that, maybe. Okay, so now we have, it says I'm almost done. I've added it to the browser. Now I need to log in, right? It says click the LastPass browser button. It shows this little picture. That's what this little picture is. So I'm going to click this. Now it's asking for my email address. So this is the email address I just had, right? Fake mail. Maybe it's your Gmail account, right? EnginePost.com. And now I need that big crazy Mother Goose password. Well, I still have it over here, so I'm just going to copy it for now. Again, you don't need to do this in LinkedIn. You could just, write it down. You're just typing it out again, whatever you want to do. I'm going to say, remember the email. You can say, remember the password. It'll do it. If you do that, it's going to warn you. Well, you might forget this password if you do that. I'm going to say yes, because I am going to write it down and put it somewhere else. And what that does is it just simply, every time the browser loads, it's going to log me into this automatically. It is going to store this password in the browser with the plugin information. That increases your risk a little bit. You could, the option is, if you don't check this box, you're going to have to enter that password every time you launch your browser to get LastPass working. But again, if you write it down somewhere else, you're probably safe enough. And it only matters to do this on desktop web browsers. But again, if you want to be really safe, don't check that box. I'm going to do it for now. So now I hit login. It turns red. That means now it's working. The magic has begun. So I'm going to not worry about this stuff right now. It says I'm done. Let's go. Okay, so now I'm going to log in here. I could log in to LastPass here. There's another way to do it. So now that I have like this all set up, I'm going to go back here just to an empty browser. If I click on this icon, I can say open my vault. And what open my vault does is it shows me all the things that have been set up. You can go through the show me around stuff. I'm just going to say don't bother because I know what I'm doing. What I want to see is I want to see all the items sort of like in the vault, all my different passwords and stuff like that. If I want to add passwords, I can go down here and add a new folder and add passwords. So what I'll do is I'm going to create a password for my social stuff. But there's really an easier way to do this, okay? So rather than starting to create passwords in this tool, again, what I did is I went into this, I clicked passwords, and it's showing me that because it's a new account, I have nothing. Now I want to just start setting up passwords again because, again, 750 million passwords hacked. Let's clean that up. So I'm going to discard this message. I'm logged into LinkedIn over here in Chrome. So what I want to do is I want to log out of Chrome and log back in. Notice it's got this little red icon again for LastPass, right? Again, my password, I'm going to assume that it's been hacked and I need to create a new, stronger password. So what I'll do is I'll log out of LinkedIn. So I click my little face icon and hit sign out. It takes me back to this fill-in form, right? Now, I have a password here and it's a horrible password. And I set it up just for this test here. Notice this should be red, meaning LastPass is watching my browser for me to be sure when I am confronted with a need to use a password, it can help me out. It doesn't know about any LinkedIn passwords yet, right? We look over here, no passwords created. So I'm going to say, here's my username, steve.mcdonald@enginepost.com. I'm going to enter a password. I'm going to tell you right now what that password is. That password is, because we're about to change it, hello mom, exclamation point. Horrible password, right? I just changed it to that horrible password right before I started recording. I'm going to hit sign in. It's going to sign me in to LinkedIn. But watch what happens. LastPass notices, now I never want to use this option again up here. Update the password in the browser and stuff like that. Nope, forget it. I don't want this thing here, which is Chrome trying to remember passwords. I'm going to show you how to turn that off in a minute. But in the meantime, I'm going to say nope to that. I want LastPass to manage my passwords. So it'll pop this up. It'll say add to LastPass. I'm going to say yes. So now it's going to add that account with my cheesy, horrible password into LastPass. See how it added it over here? If I go down here and I click this little, looks like a wrench, it's going to show me that if anytime I go to linkedin.com, it'll help to fill out the form with my username and my password. Couple things to notice. One, see how the yellow is, this is yellow here? That means, it's a moderate password, not a great password, right? Because it's yellow, it's kind of in that warning category. It's not quite red, but it's like not good. If I hit the little eyeball, it should show me, which is awesome, my actual password. Boom, hello mom, horrible password. But the idea here is I can always come in here and get my password because it's going to store it for me. But what's cool is I don't really have to care about that. So I'm going to hit cancel on this. There it is. It's ready to go. So now from now on, if I close this, if I were to log into LastPass, and again, by logging in, as long as this is red, I'm going to close this window. And again, if I'm going too fast, just slow the video down, go back it up. If I click this and just say, show me my open my vault, I can always go in here and just hit launch. So this almost becomes like a set of bookmarks, right? I can hit launch. It's going to open LinkedIn. I'm going to close. I'm going to drag this over here. Notice how it totally just linked me in. linked me in. It logged me into LinkedIn, and it did that using that Hello Mom. Now we need to implement a strong password. And the way we do that is in LinkedIn, at least, I'm going to click my face, hit settings and privacy. Then I'm going to go over here and jump to the accounts section. Click. And now over here it says change password. So I'm going to click that. Now I have the option to start filling stuff out. So I need to know what my old password is. I know it's Hello Mom, but let's pretend I forgot it was Hello Mom exclamation. I can also hit this little icon here. That's LastPass again. And I can say, go get me my current password, which is the weak one, and fill it in, which it did. Now we need a strong password. I don't want to create any new passwords. All this instruction here needs to be at least 8 characters, at least 1 number or special character, all that stuff. You need to be able to set that up and follow those rules. And you can set up rules over here in LastPass. So how does LastPass, if I click this little icon here, it's going to generate for me a password. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to click it a second time. And this is now LastPass saying I will generate and fill in a password. So if I go ahead and hit that now, it's created a brand new password for me. And it's copied it to the second line for the repaste, the retype. And if I hit save, it will have created a nice secure password. But let's say you want to fiddle with those parameters because, again, see how it says it needs to be at least 8 characters, at least 1 number or special character, right? So how do you configure that in LastPass? Let me show you how to do that because not all websites are the same. So back here in LastPass, there's an option at the bottom here that says more options. So I'm going to click that. Let me be sure you can see that on the screen. Looks good. And then I'm going to go up here under advanced, and I have the option for generate secure password. This is the setting that it uses. So if I go ahead and hit this little down arrow under advanced options, you probably won't have to do this, but I'm just showing you how to do it. You have a number of options here. What I recommend is check these boxes, all of them. Leave it to like a minimum of including up to 2 or a minimum of 2 numeric characters. And then you could also say avoid ambiguous characters. So ambiguous characters are characters from a keyboard that are outside the standard like ANSI ASCII character set. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's been a while since I've read what that meant, but basically there's a standard set of characters that all keyboards have and keyboard sets of characters have. So it'll not use those ambiguous, unusual characters like uncommon backticks or the Enya symbol and stuff like that are specific to Spanish and things like that, right? So it'll use all the most generic characters. Okay, so now that I've done that, I can even go up here and say, well, let's make it even harder. Let's say it's always going to generate a 14 character string, and it's going to include all these rules every time. So I've done that. I can refresh this a couple times. I can see the ones it's generated so far. I can copy one. Well, now that I've done that, I can just kind of click away. And now if I go and regenerate again, by clicking this a couple times, it should give me, well, let me just save the one that I created so far. I'm going to redo it again. So it says saved. Notice that it says, oh, it's updated this password now. So if I hit OK, I'm going to do it one more time, okay? So again, I'm going to click on accounts. I'm going to click change password. Now that I've filled with that generator, I'll tell it to go get my LinkedIn password, the current one. I'm going to double click this little guy again and say generate and fill. It's going to follow the rules I set up over here, and I'm going to hit save. And now it's saved a password, and it's telling me now I can update the password saved over here. So I'm going to hit update. So did it do it? First, let's be sure it's working correctly. So to do that, I'm just going to go back to LinkedIn again, and I'm going to log out. And now it's auto-populated this for me using the latest crazy hard password that I don't even know, right? It generated a password. I didn't even see what it was. And I'm going to hit sign in. And it worked. Do I know what changed it? Let's go look. If I hit the gear here under LinkedIn, and I notice it's green now, it's no longer yellow, so it's got a new password. If I hit this little eyeball, look at that. There's my crazy password it created. And I don't even need to remember it. It's going to remember it for me when it links, when I go to LinkedIn, it'll fill it out. But here's the other cool thing about that. Not only did it remember LinkedIn, but I can use this interface here in the Vault to actually launch LinkedIn. So if I hit launch, it opens LinkedIn and it logs me in. Oh, look at that. So it's like it's almost like a quick way to keep bookmarks to sites that are secure, right? So very cool. You can put stuff in there that doesn't even have a password, you know, just to create and store your links. I don't know why you do that, but you could. And also, you don't even, as long as you're logged into this, you can go to all items. Don't even go to the Vault. Just go to all items, passwords, and now you can see all of the accounts you've set up and just launch it right from that little widget there, right from that little add-on. So that's pretty cool, right? Let's say I want to do the same thing with Facebook. How hard is that, right? So I'm going to keep this open. I don't have to have it open. But if I go over here and I'm going to go to Facebook. And it knows who I am. So I'm going to go ahead and log out. And that's by hitting this little down arrow here. And I'm going to say log out. Okay, I'm all logged out. So now I want to log into Facebook. And to do that, I'm actually going to load up a different browser so I can get in there because I've changed that password and I don't remember what it is. And it's in my official account. So give me just a moment. So I'm going to go to get my correct password. And I'm going to put in my email address. And I'm going to log in. And you'll notice, again, that LastPass wants to add that, right? So I'm going to hit add. But again, let's assume this password is just not strong enough, right? Because that's the whole goal of being here, is to change these passwords. So back here, notice it's created a Facebook account. If I want to see that password, I can hit this little gear. It'll show me what my password was, which is pretty cool if I've forgotten, you know. But anyway, so now I'm logged in. So now I need to change my password. And the way you do that is in Facebook, you're going to click this little down arrow. And then I believe you go to settings. From here, there's a security and login. And it shows a bunch of junk. And one of the options is change password. So I'm going to hit that. So now I want to paste the password just like I did. It added it, right? I can hit this little thing here, paste it, and now I can say to LastPass by double clicking on that, generate and fill a new crazy password. And it does it. And now I hit save changes. There you go. I'm going to close this. And then it says, okay, we updated your password. So now if I go look over here, this is the new Facebook password, which I'm not going to show you, of course, because that'd be shenanigans. But basically, long story short, I have my new password, just as one would imagine, for Facebook. So now if I log out of Facebook, and I want to log back in, now that is helping me out, right? It's saving those right passwords. So again, remember, this is creating a really complicated password. It's an insane password, and you're well protected. So that's it. Basically, you just have to set up the plugin, and you go through all your sites. Here's a list of stuff you're probably going to want to look at. Where do you shop online? Is it Amazon? Is it Target? Is it Walmart? I don't know. Either way, go into, with that plugin running, go into all those sites. And once you've gone into all those sites, take the time to log in, let it save your password, and then go through the site to update the password, but use that widget to let it generate a secure password and update it back to LastPass. And that will keep you protected. And you're going to want to do that with everything you have. Maybe your bank, maybe do some online banking. You need to lock down that password again. Maybe there's a bunch of social sites, so Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Facebook, Google, like all these things. Most of the social sites these days give you the ability to log into other sites based on their username and password. If that stuff gets hacked, people get access to all that stuff. So you need to update it. And again, with 750 million usernames and passwords now hacked and in the wild, you're going to need to do this. And so go ahead, I would say, and blow the rest of your evening or day and set up a LastPass account. Like I said, it's free. It's $24 if you want to add a bunch of additional security features that you may or may not need. But again, $24 a year is crazy cheap for this kind of peace of mind. And so you don't need it in many cases, but it will add some, additional layers of authentication and stuff like that will use your phone and everything, which is quite nice. But set up all this stuff. There's a bunch of additional features too. You can go down here and you can create add your own little folders. So I could say, I want to create a folder called social. And then once I have a folder called social, I can go into these things and I can start to organize them and say, well, Facebook is a social. And now it's organized under social. I can kind of shrink up the interface here. I can do the same thing here and create more folders. And then that's nice because up here, now I can sort of see groupings of things. If I go to passwords, I'll see social. And then if I go into social, I'll see Facebook. That way, if you have a lot of accounts, like my Google Chrome was storing over 290 different password relationships. I went through and deleted it all. Just because it was important to me to kind of get it back under control. And so this is how you do it. So let me give you a little bit more advice before I wrap up this video. Here's what you need to know. Nobody is hacking your password. What do I mean by that? I mean, there isn't like a human being at the other end of this that's going, they went to the University of Wisconsin, Madison, and so maybe their password has to do with the, they live in Wisconsin. They have a Buckeyes password or something like that, or a Badger rather. I don't know what, there isn't a human being doing that anymore. That's how they used to hack passwords. So you try to think of like stuff that was memorable to you and you kind of make it super clever. It's not how password hacks work these days. There's just too many passwords and it takes too long to do a social hack like that, especially if you're on the other side of the planet, just to search you out, to figure you out. It's just not how it works. So what happens is they hack whole databases. They get these passwords. They're stored in awkward ways. And they can build a password database. And then they run your name against that database. And that database basically takes all of your username and it tries all these passwords of known passwords. And then probably your passwords in that database is the idea. And so more than likely, that's how you're getting hacked. And it happens way faster than if someone tried to socially hack you. By again, social, I mean, they'd have to know something about you. In this case, they don't. They know stuff about 1 billion people. And you probably statistically share a good chance of having a password with one of those other 1 billion people. And so that's where it's meaningful to say you need something that's secure, that's not necessarily affiliated with you, that's strong. And that's where LastPass is going to come in for you. So that's issue number one. Issue number two is everyone is storing using the same like 1 or 2 passwords all over the place. If you literally have 2 things you log into in the world, like I only log into my email and I only log into my bank, then yeah, just create 2 insanely difficult passwords that are at least 13 characters long, that use uppercase and lowercase letters, use at least 2 numbers and a wild character, and you'll be safe. But if you're really using those 2 passwords to log into, say like a dozen sites, including Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram and all kind of crap, then you're a candidate for LastPass. Because once they learn one of your passwords, they'll try it everywhere and you're hacked. And so that's why LastPass is very valuable. The final note I'll say is just a reminder of the idea that in the early days, like I think of the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off, right? in that movie, they wanted to hack grades. And what they did is there's a scene where they flip up the keyboard, and taped to the bottom of the keyboard was the password for the grade administration system. And he took that. Actually, that might not have been Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That might have been, was it Whiz Kid? What was the name of that movie with Matthew Broderick? Somebody out there will remember. But in any case, the hacker movie with Matthew Broderick, he steals the password, he logs in, and he changes the grades. That was how you hacked passwords back in the day, and people would say, never write your password down. Well, the trouble is, these days it's reversed. Everything digital is now hackable. You'd think, oh, I'm safer if I just store my little password note inside a little note application on my phone. Well, the trouble is, your crazy awesome quote-unquote smartphone is saving all your information to the cloud. And if your cloud account gets hacked, and it does get hacked from time to time, then all of the information you thought was secure may not be secure. There are a few companies out there that are actually securing the cloud backups by encrypting everything. But the thing is, you should know, and I'm betting you don't, if that is being protected by encryption. You probably don't know. Did you have to turn it on? Did you turn it on? Did you, like, for example, Facebook chat can be encrypted. Yay! Nobody can see what's going on in your chat. It's not turned on unless you explicitly turn it on. Why is that true? It's true because the overhead is so high. And by overhead, I mean like the computational need to figure out if you're, if it can encrypt and decrypt and store public and private keys to do that kind of encryption just takes a lot more on a server. So they turn it off by default just so it doesn't bog down their servers, but they make it available to you. It's just that nobody cares or realizes that they have to turn it on. So they're sending all this unencrypted communication back and forth. iPhones are the same way. Unless they've changed it recently, iPhone claims it is encrypted. The trouble is they don't encrypt at rest on the server. That's what I was told. They encrypt the transmission. That's awesome. Not the destination. In some cases, they encrypt only when it hits the server. And I don't know if that's Apple or Facebook or who that is, but there's a lot of different rules going on about how they can or cannot configure it. And by rules, I mean how they configure the way it works, not governing rules. But at this point, the answer is you just don't know. And so the best way to know is to use something like LastPass or one of its many competitors, which is that LastPass is awesome because it's free. Unless you want to pay the $24, which again, I would encourage you to probably support it. Like, use it for a while, fall in love with it, and then go ahead and learn how to do the double authentication with your mobile device. And that takes the $24 a year, but that's cheap. And you can do other things like try their LastPass for families, which lets you work together as a family. If you don't have your password, or if somebody lost their password, you can help your kid, or you can grant access to a password for a kid remotely and stuff like that. So it's very interesting, the stuff they can do. But the bottom line is the way hacking works has changed when it comes to passwords. The way data transmission over the web works is very different and less secure in most cases than you think. And so all of this is mitigatable in terms of the risk. You can minimize your risk by using tools like this, and you need to do it, and you need to do it right now. So that's my advice. I hope this is useful. I hope it doesn't feel redundant. It's turned into a very long video, but hopefully the first bit, I'll edit it down so it's quick and you can just get started with protecting your passwords. Do not put this off. There's just no reason to do it. It is literally with 750 million passwords in the wild now, and by in the wild again, now that means in databases that hackers can use to hack you at the speed of light, at the speed of electricity over copper, or silver. There's just no reason. You are your own worst enemy if you don't do it. And the end game here is strong, unique passwords for every account. That's what you need. And LastPass, as you can see, clearly helps you do that without having to remember all those passwords, which is important for a human brain that is busy, but it does it in a way that it achieves the end goal. Okay, folks, thanks, and hopefully you'll share this video if there are other people that need to learn how to do this. If you hung in this long, welcome, nerd, because we've been nerding out for a while on this. But other than that, take it easy and be secure.